And that leads us to our next topic, which is Brad Stevens, Boston Celtics. A lot of chatter, a lot of noise because of how bad they've been over the last few weeks. And even, how well that how poorly they adjusted to Miami in the playoffs, the Eastern Conference Finals last year. It was really then that people started to whisper, is Brad Stevens the coach that can bring the Celtics to a championship? He's done a good job getting them to the conference finals 3 of the last 4 years, but can he take them over the hump? Now folks are saying that one of the biggest reasons for this slide is Stevens. Do you think this is time to get rid of Brad Stevens on the Boston Celtics?
No, I don't. I do not think it is. I think, a lot of people have been calling for him to be on the hot seat, and I'm fine with that. Put him on the hot seat, make him think that he might get fired, but I don't think that would be the right move moving on from Brad Stevens right now. I think he deserves at least a few more years in the organization. If you look at the coaches that we've had recently, obviously the last time that we won a championship was with the Big Three, and you can't say that we have a Big Three currently. So if we had a Big Three and we were doing like below 500 with a Big Three, I'd say, all right, the coach has to go. But we need some more talent around Jason Tatum, around Jaylen Brown. Kemba Walker has not been playing good recently. Like I said, Tristan Thompson's been a bust. Marcus Smart's been hurt. So it's just like we need some more talent on this team. They need to build up more of a roster for the coach to be able to do something. And I think that comes back to it a lot, and I'm a coach, and trust me, I'll call coaches out really quick to say that maybe it's time for them to move on. I did it last week with Jim Christian from Boston College. But I think this one with Brad Stevens, I think it's time that you give him some more time, give him some more players, make a trade, maybe try to move up in the draft so this guy can have some more players to put his program into play. But a lot of people are calling for him to get fired, which is kind of shocking to me. Even Taylor Twellman on Sports Nation was saying that it might be time for him to go. But me as a coach, I'm saying no, this guy needs more time. Me as a Boston Celtics fan, I'm saying no, this guy needs more time. I like what Brad Stevens brings as a coach. I like his level-headedness. I like his passion for the game. I like his knowledge for the game. He's always drawing up great plays out of timeouts. He's had this team playing great and in position in the past. I just think we're just a few pieces away from being able to get back to that.
Absolutely. I think what you have to do here, if you're Danny Ainge or you're Wick Grossbeck, because Danny Ainge might be on the hot seat as well at the end of the season. I think what you have to consider is you fire Stevens right now, you're still not fixing this team this year. There's never been I don't think there's ever been an NBA team that fired their coach mid-season and then the new guy took over and they won the title. I know that that's happened with times where coaches got fired mid-season and then they ended up being a playoff team because a change really helped the team. But I don't think that a team's ever won a title firing a coach mid-season. So what's the point if that's not going to get you to the NBA championship? Because Stevens has gotten them to the Eastern Conference Finals. So if you just get back there with a new coach, what's the difference? So I think what you're going to do here, if you're the Celtics, is if you make a move at the trade deadline, it could be a sort of smaller move or it could be that big trade exception move. If you make a move, shuffle the roster around a little bit, and then you don't see an improvement in the team for the rest of the season, then you fire Stevens because it's time. And it's not all his fault. There's a big piece of blame pie to go around to everybody, but Stevens is part of that. So you got to look at Kemba Walker's not playing well right now. He hasn't lived up to the expectations or his contract. Tatum and Brown are awesome. I love those guys. I can't wait to root for those guys for years to come. They've been really good in some games. In other games, they're not the superstars yet. They're not superstars yet. They're just not. They're not there yet. And they have to know that as well. And I think that's a big thing with the Celtics. The other thing is there's too many guys on that roster. There's too many different guys that need playing time. One game it's Nesmith and Pritchard and Semi Ojeleye. The next game it's Thompson's getting more playing time. Robert Williams needs to play a lot. Pritchard needs to play a lot. Nesmith needs to play a lot. Jeff Teague, they don't need him anymore. I don't know what they're going to do with him. Carson Edwards doesn't play at all. You still got Grant Williams. There's guys that they're not going to get time, and the roster is just so clogged that if you can package a few of those guys and get a upgraded veteran or however you can fit it in the trade machine on ESPN.com, if you can try to figure it out, do it. And but I think if Stevens doesn't turn this around, at least so that they're a respectable playoff team when they get to the second or third round and really just put a good effort together and their roster is the limit for them in the playoffs, then you bring Stevens back. If they are the better team in a series, more talented team with a better roster, and they get out coached in the playoffs, or let's just say they don't make the playoffs after making a move, then I think you got to fire Stevens and you got to find somebody else. I hate to say it, big fan of Stevens, but I think you do have to make a move if this doesn't turn around at, pretty soon, after the All-Star break trade deadline. If you don't see changes and you don't see better things on the horizon for the Celtics, then you do have to fire Stevens.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things, like you said, if they make a roster move and they upgrade the roster and you're still getting the same result, then you'll have to move on. It'll just be that time. But I'm hoping that they don't move on from certain players, especially rookie Peyton Pritchard. I think he's just played amazing in his rookie year. I'd love to see him on the Celtics roster for years to come. I was talking with my pops the other day, and we were saying we would love to see a pass-first point guard come in here so Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could just play off the ball, not have to worry about ever handling the ball, just, like a Rajon Rondo come in and obviously just dish the ball out and let them be a star. I think if you got a pass-first point guard on this team and you bring in somebody to solidify the front court, I think that would be huge to going forward to helping this Celtics team be a lot better.